Yes, you better hold on to your hats because it is very windy here in the UK. Batten down the hatches. If, of course, you have any hatches to batten down. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Yes, can you believe it? Here we are again. It is another live English Addict coming to you from the birthplace of the English language. That is, of course, England. Hi everybody, this is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you happy? Well, are you happy? I really hope you are. Here we go then. Oh my goodness, what a week. How has your week been? My week has been a little bit hectic. To be honest, I've been doing all sorts of things, going all over the place, not only with myself, but also with Mr. Steve as well, because we have a new project that we are both working on. I can't talk about it because Mr. Steve now has made me sign a piece of paper. So I've had to actually sign a piece of paper that says I can't talk about this thing. So it is like a non-disclosal contract or clause. So Mr. Steve isn't letting me talk about it, which I think is rather unfair, to be honest, because I really want to share it. Anyway, guess what, everyone? It is officially the weekend. I hope you are having a good weekend. Here we are coming towards the end of the weekend. For some people, it might already be the end of the weekend. However, here in England, it is still Sunday. We have a lot of things to talk about today. I'll be honest with you. There are so many things that I have to discuss. I have a feeling I might not have time to do it all. So many things coming up. First of all, did you see me yesterday? I was live in the centre of Much Wenlock and I was at the local Christmas fair. It was interesting, some very interesting moments. Here is an interesting moment that I would like to share with you right now. And this is something that happened yesterday at the local Christmas fair whilst I was broadcasting live on YouTube. Lots of Christmas items, gifts, lots of toys for sale. For children, of course, when we think of Christmas, we always think of children, don't we? Because I suppose it would be fair to say that I think it would be fair to say that Christmas is for children, isn't it, really, I suppose? Hello. Hi there. Do you want to say hello? Let's have a look. A young lad has just come up to me and he's given me this. So this is Mr. Pelican. Hello, Mr. Pelican. Hello, how are you today? I'm very well, thank you. Now you have to go back now. Okay, bye-bye. Bye. Did you see that? A little child came up to me and gave me his toy. Sorry about that. I have a feeling that might happen a lot. I have a feeling that might happen quite a few times today. So it's English Addict, but slightly different because I am surrounded by other human beings. I think the kid has just come back. He's trying to appear on my live stream. Hello. That's nice. I have a child who keeps running around me and it's very distracting. Well, this is great, isn't it? This is wonderful. I'm enjoying this live stream. Mr. Duncan, how are you today? You are so funny and a great person. Thank you very much. I have a young child who won't leave me alone. Okay. You can go now. Bye. Bye-bye. Well, they always say be careful who you work with. They always say that you should never work with children or animals. That is so true. So that was yesterday whilst I was out in the middle of Much Wenlock during the Christmas fair that is held every single year. And yes, it is true, I was bothered a few times yesterday, even though it didn't really disturb me too much. I am, of course, the consummate professional. If you are a consummate professional, it means nothing can disturb you. Nothing can break your concentration when you are doing something that is your occupation. So here we go then. Hello to the live chat. I suppose I should say hello right now to everyone on the live chat. Hello especially to Grace Chin. Guess what, Grace? You are first on today's live chat. Very good. I think Grace has a very fast finger. Grace has a very quick finger when it comes to clicking on her mouse. I think so. Also, Chris Morales is here, and also Vitas, Eman, Rolfie. Rolfie has written a very long message here. Hi everyone. Hello Mr. Duncan. I am religiously watching you from the Dominican Republic as every Sunday since you started this project called English Addict. Yes, this is the name of my live stream, and you can catch me on YouTube every Sunday, Wednesday and Friday from 2 p.m. So every week, Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, I am with you live on YouTube from 2 p.m. UK time. So that is when you can catch me here on YouTube. Although I have a feeling during December you might see a lot more of me as well. Did you see the other thing that I did last week? I showed you a rather sad moment of time. And this little video will show you what we all said goodbye to. So on Friday, we said goodbye to these. They are the local cooling towers at a nearby power station. And on Friday, we said goodbye to these cooling towers at the local Iron Bridge power station. Now, the power station stopped generating electricity way back in 2015, and they have been waiting to be demolished. So there you can see them, and now we will have a look on the screen as we say goodbye to the cooling towers. And there they are, awaiting their fate. They are about to be blown up. Oh dear. Any second now. Here comes the Big Bang. Wow. Very dramatic. And the thing I love about that is how quickly the chimneys, or cooling towers, to give them their proper name, how quickly they fell to the ground. However, we can always make them come back up, of course. We can always bring them back up. Ah, they're back. Oh, they've gone again. No, they're back. No, they've gone. They're back. No, they've gone. They're back. No, they've gone. Definitely gone. Sorry about that. So lots of things happening last week with the cooling towers being demolished, and also I was live with you on Friday afternoon, and also I was live yesterday from the Much Wenlock Christmas Fair. By the way, I'm going to show you one of my older videos a little bit later on where I visit the Much Wenlock Christmas Fair, and that was recorded in 2013. So that is another video that we will watch a little bit later on, so we can see what really happens at the Much Wenlock Christmas Fair. Thank you very much for your company today. It's nice to see so many people here. Also Flower Espoir, nice to see you. Luis Mendez, Christina Jackson, did you have a good Saturday night? My Saturday night was okay. After I got back home, I was freezing cold and a little damp, but we had a lovely afternoon. Mr. Steve sat down, and also I did as well. And we had a lovely meal, a lovely Christmas meal with some turkey, and no, we didn't have Brussels sprouts. There were no Brussels sprouts with our Christmas meal yesterday. However, apparently there is going to be another Christmas meal in a few days' time, and that will have all the traditional vegetables with it as well. So that's something I'm looking forward to eating. So yes, we did have a nice time yesterday. Thank you, Christina, for your inquiry. Hello to Japan. Hello also to Palmyra, Massimo, Vinraj. Hello to you watching in Pakistan. Also Mirella and Hyderabad. Hello Hyderabad, watching next door to Pakistan, watching in India. Hello Mr. Bruno, Eric. Also Lena is here, and Fardoza. Hello to you as well. So many people are already saying hello. I do love seeing you here with me every single week. And I suppose I should mention the big events. There are many big events taking place this month. In December 2019, we have Christmas, of course. Are you going to celebrate Christmas? I know many people don't, for various reasons. But I will kind of celebrate it. Even though I don't really follow any religion, I love the feeling, the celebration of Christmas time, because everyone seems very happy. That is the thing I noticed yesterday at the Christmas fair. Everyone was in good spirits. So the feeling yesterday amongst the crowd at the Much Wenlock Christmas Fair was lovely. And I love this time of year. People tend to be a little bit more friendly and kind to each other at this time of year. So I quite like that, really. Also, the other big event, not so friendly and not so pleasant, is the general election, which is taking place this Thursday. So this Thursday, the United Kingdom will be voting for a new government. And to be honest with you, it has been driving me crazy. We've had lots of political messages on television, people coming to our doors, knocking on the door and saying, "Hello, I am your local representative from the party." I'm not saying which one. Will you vote for me on the next general election, which is taking place on the 12th of December? And my answer is, I haven't decided yet. I am a floating voter. I love that expression. So we normally describe a person who hasn't made up their mind, or if they haven't decided on who they are going to vote for, we often describe them as a floating voter, a person who hasn't made up their mind who to vote for. Now, this is my theory, and this is only my opinion. I believe that many people don't decide who to vote for until they are about to put their cross on the paper. So I think that many people go along to vote, but they really haven't made up their mind up until the very moment that they put their big cross on the ballot paper. So that's my belief. And I've spoken to some people who say the same thing. They say that they didn't know who to vote for until they were about to put their cross on the paper. Right up until that point, they had no idea who to vote for. So I find that rather amazing. Francesca, hello to you as well. Rolfie, that kid and the drunk man made my day, says Rolfie. Can I just mention the guy that was behind me and I accused him of being drunk? Now, I've watched the video again and I can safely say that that man was not drunk, even though I thought he was. In fact, he was reading the tombstone that was behind me. So I didn't realise until I watched it again that he wasn't staring at me. He was actually looking at the tombstone in front of him. He was actually reading it. And I thought he was staring at me. So that's why I felt a little bit nervous. But of course, I also had a young child come over and bother me with his little toy. By the way, some people said, Mr. Duncan, that toy was not a pelican. It was actually a stork. Well, I can tell you now, that stork identifies as a pelican. So there. I'm getting very trendy with 2019. So even though that was a stork, I can tell you now that that stork actually identifies as a pelican. So there, and there's nothing you can do about it. Hello, Julie. Hello, Palmyra again. Christina says, the little child running around you was very funny. No, that wasn't my child. A few people thought it was my kid. I don't have any children, trust me. Even though for some reason, I don't know why, children like me. I have no idea why. No idea. Hello, Lewis again. Hello, Nguyen Tu, watching in Vietnam. Hello, Lewis. Belarusia, hello to you as well. Nice to see you here today. So now we are up to date with the live chat. A demolition of an important monumental building is as if a piece of history has been erased. Yes, on Friday, the local landmark, it happens to be a power station, was demolished. Well, part of it was. And many people in the area were trying to save the cooling towers. I'm not joking. They were actually trying to save these things. So that, sadly, is no more. Those buildings have now gone. They were demolished like this. There we go. Up they come, down they go. Up they come, down they go. Up, down, up, down. I know, that's very annoying. I'm sorry about that. I couldn't resist. You know how I like twiddling and playing with my controls. Hello, also Saturino. Hello, Mr. Duncan. Today is the Immaculate Conception Day. My mother said that about me. When she had me. That's what she said. That was her excuse. JC Geordie. Hello, you forgot to mention me. JC Geordie, watching in Brazil. I haven't seen Pedro. Has anyone seen Pedro Belmont? He must be around here somewhere. We are talking about a lot of things today. We have a few subjects to discuss. We are talking about being a neighbour. Neighbour. I love this word, by the way. It's a lovely word, even though it has two spellings. So you might sometimes see this word spelt like this. So the reason why you might see this word spelt this way is because that is American English. So they often spell words differently, and that is British English. So we often spell it like this, and in America they will spell it like this. The word is neighbour. Neighbour. So I'm always fascinated by how people get along with their neighbours. Do you have neighbours? Do you live next door to someone? Do you have a person living nearby? Maybe you live in a house and perhaps you have someone next door, or maybe you live in an apartment and maybe you have neighbours living next door, above you, and maybe also below you as well. So neighbours. Also, we are going to play a little game today. It's called a or an. So when we talk about something in particular, when we talk about an article or a thing, and we often call it an indefinite article, we often use a or an. However, when you use these depends on the word that you are saying or the thing you are naming. So that's something we are looking forward to doing later on. Is it a or an? So later on I will show you some words and I want you to tell me if you use a or an. Oh, very nice. What a day. We have some violent storms on the way. So there is the view outside the window at the moment, and you can see it doesn't look very windy. However, it is. It is blowing a gale at the moment, even though the weather at the moment isn't even bad. Apparently tonight we are going to get lots of very strong winds. They are going to batter the UK. So we have a tropical storm coming our way. Now, I have been very lucky to get hold of some satellite footage that shows this storm. So here it is. Here is the storm that is now on its way. And there it is, Storm Atia. I hope I pronounced that right. So Storm Atia is now approaching the UK, and tonight it will hit the UK, and there you can see some very strong winds. So there will be winds approaching 75 miles an hour. So it's going to get very windy where I live over the next few hours as the storm approaches. Storm Atia is approaching the UK. And can you believe it? We are actually in the worst area. So where I live is actually going to be one of the worst affected areas. So I'm going to be honest with you, I feel a little worried about this. Already some of my Christmas lights have been damaged. Can you believe it? I've only put them up a few days, and already some of my Christmas lights have been slightly damaged. So this afternoon I will have to go onto the roof and repair some of my Christmas lights because the wind already has blown it away. Hello, El Corey. Hello, El Corey. Nice to see you here today. So yesterday I was at the Christmas fair in Much Wenlock, and I thought it would be interesting to take a look at one of my old lessons. And this was a lesson that I filmed during December 2013. But I hope you find it interesting because in the video I am walking around and taking a very close look at what happens every year at the Much Wenlock Christmas Fair. Oh, hello there. Hi, everybody. This is Mr. Duncan in England. Here I am again with another December drop-in. How are you on this fine day? Are you okay? Are you fine and happy? I hope so. Well, Christmas is definitely on the way. And as if we needed reminding, here I am in my hometown of Much Wenlock. And can you see what's happening behind me? It's all going on today because here they are holding a Christmas fair. Well, the crowds are out today for the Much Wenlock Christmas Fair. During any special festival or time of year, fairs are held. The tradition of holding village fairs goes back hundreds of years. These events give local people a chance to get together, and it serves as a great opportunity for farmers and other traders to show off their produce and wares. The local fair also allows money to be raised. These days, many charities can be found collecting for their causes at local fairs. It is interesting to note that the word produce can be used as a verb or a noun. To make something is produce. The thing grown or cultivated is produce. The spelling of fair is the old-fashioned spelling of fair. These days the word is rarely used in its archaic or old form, except during these occasions. There are many things on sale here today. Tea and sandwiches, burgers and hot dogs, and other hot refreshments are on sale here today. These hats caught my eye, and you know how much I like hats. The focal point of today's fair will be the switching on of the Christmas lights. Many people will gather in the square for the switching on ceremony. There are lots of interesting things to do and see here today. This man is called a town crier. A crier is a person who is employed by a local council to make public announcements. These days, the role of a town crier is mainly ceremonial. They are only present during special events. In the past, a town crier would announce local events and court of law decisions in a very loud voice. That is why they are called a crier. To cry can mean to shed tears and weep, or it can be used to express shouting, yelling, and calling out. This man is busking. A busker is a person who performs in a public place. This busker is playing several musical instruments at the same time. He is performing as a one-man band. Quite often people will give money to the busker as he or she performs. That is how a busker makes a living. Small donations are given by the audience. These days, buskers also help to raise money for charity. They are also known as street performers. Many festive events are taking place during the run-up to Christmas. The word festive refers to a happy celebration, a jolly time, a joyous occasion. The events are described as festivities. Today's festivities are connected with Christmas. The sun is setting over Much Wenlock, and people are gathering in the main square, where the Christmas lights are about to be switched on. Normally, a countdown will take place before the switch is thrown and the lights come on.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
So the lights are on, and everyone is happy. There is no escaping the fact that Christmas is on the way. Of course, not everyone celebrates Christmas. There are other faiths besides the Christian one. Christmas is just one of many religious festivals that take place during the year. Some religions do not observe Christmas, while others do, with slight variations. It is not unusual for those with no religious beliefs to join in with the Christmas celebrations. It is a joyous time for all. A time for people to join together and be happy. Well, I hope you have enjoyed today's December drop-in. It's been a little bit different with me out and about at the Much Wenlock Fair. This is Mr. Duncan in England saying thank you for joining me today. And of course, on behalf of everybody here in Much Wenlock, ta-ta for now. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I hope you enjoyed that. Something a little different. Something different for you to look at. The Much Wenlock Christmas Fair that took place yesterday, and that was a lesson I made way back in 2013. But to be honest with you, the Christmas Fair here in Much Wenlock is pretty much the same every year. So similar things happen no matter which year it is, to be honest. So I was there live yesterday as well. A very busy week. And I have a feeling this month is also going to be very busy as well. So when do we use a? And when do we use an when we are expressing an indefinite article? So, for example, here is one word that I'm going to show you now. Apple. 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 So, when we say apple and we are naming one apple, do we say a or an? Apple. Which one is it? Which one do we use? The answer is an. We actually say an apple, an apple, an apple, not a apple. So quite often with vowels we will often use an apple. I am eating an apple, an apple. So that is what we use when we say apple as an indefinite article. We are saying one thing, something we are doing with that. Here's another one. Horse. Horse. So which one do we use? Do we say a or an? A or an? Which one do we use? I will give you a moment to answer. Christine says, who was the man who was shouting at the people, waiting for the lights to turn on? He is the town crier. And that particular town crier is the tallest town crier in the UK, apparently. And he is very tall. He's taller than me. And not many people are taller than me. So which one is it? Is it a or an? The answer is, if I can get the piece of paper, it is a horse. I am sitting on a horse. A horse. A horse. Now, I suppose it's fair to mention why there is a difference. So I will put it on the screen so you can look at it closely and carefully. Now, the reason why we do this, well, first of all, there is a lot of arguments taking place, and they have been taking place for many years, especially amongst English aficionados and people who really are quite strict when it comes to the use of the English language. So it is a historical document, or is it an historical document? A hotel or an hotel? There is still some divergence of opinion over which form of the indefinite article should be used before words that begin with H and have an unstressed first syllable. In the 18th and 19th centuries, people often did not pronounce the initial H for these words, and so an was commonly used. Today the H is pronounced, and so it is logical to use a rather than an. However, the indefinite article an is still encountered before the H in both British and American English, particularly with historical. So you will actually say an historical, not a. So you don't say a historical, you will say an historical, even though there are people who disagree. In the Oxford English Corpus, around a quarter of examples of historical are preceded with an rather than a. So there you can see there is a definite difference in some cases, but it does depend on which word you are using. And I think I'm going to mention that in a moment. So with horse, we say a horse. However, many years ago, many people would pronounce words beginning with H, and they would leave out the H sound. They would actually leave it out, and they would say horse. So they would say an horse. However, nowadays, we do pronounce the letter H. So we say a horse. I'm sitting on a horse. So I hope that clears that one up. Here's another one. Which one do we use, though? If we are using an indefinite article, which one do we use? Is it a or an? Oh, I enjoyed that moment of silence. So we say an or a. I am eating an orange. I am eating an orange. So there it is. An orange. I'm eating an orange. Not a orange. An orange. I'm eating an orange. Another one now. Tree. Tree. So which one do we use? Do we say a tree or an tree? This one's easy. I know it's easy. I know everyone is going to have the right answer to this. It is a tree. I am climbing a tree. A tree. A tree. I am climbing a tree. And here's the one I mentioned earlier for those who have already forgotten. Historic. Historic. So what do we say? Do we say a or an? A historic or an historic? Which one do we use? Now there is a big argument, and it has been taking place for many, many years, almost as long as these words have existed. A historic or an historic? So which one is it? Well, I did give you a clue earlier on. It is in fact an historic. So many people believe that you should say an historic, even though in modern grammar most people think that it is a historic. An historic. An historic moment. So an is preferred. Very strange, I know. So a historic moment or an historic moment. There is a lot of debate over which one is correct. Here's a good one. No, I'm not describing myself. Is it a or an? Is someone an idiot or an idiot? An idiot or an idiot? Which one is it? The answer is an. He is an idiot. An idiot. He is such an idiot. An idiot. So again, it might sound as if we should use an idiot. He is an idiot. He is an idiot. An idiot. Ooh, very nice. In a word combination, an honest man, a man but honest. H. The sound is not pronounced. Honest is an adjective. So in the combination we say an honest man. See? Yes, well that's because quite often the H is also included. So an honest man, even though the H is not pronounced, we say an honest man. And that's one of the few words that is still pronounced with dropping the H. So we don't say honest. No one says honest. However, we do say hotel. So quite often, again, in the past, people would say an hotel. An hotel. However, not many people use that nowadays. However, with historic, people do. So people still say an historic moment, even though technically it isn't right. And even the Oxford Dictionary says that it is correct. So yes, an honest man is honest, an honest, because the H is not pronounced. So I hope that pronounces that answers the question. Idiot. Thank you very much to Noemi, who says, Mr. Duncan, you are not an idiot. Dance. So which one do we use? Do we say an dance or do we say a dance? I am going to a dance. A dance. I am going to a dance. So we don't say an dance. It doesn't come out of your mouth very well. Instead we say a dance. I am going to a dance tonight. I am going to a dance. Not I am going to an dance. Oh, here's a good one. Talking of the election taking place this Thursday. Independent. Independent. So independent, which do we use? Do we say a or an? So which one is it? Is it a independent or an independent? Which one is it? The answer coming up in a few moments' time. A independent or an independent. And when we talk about independent in politics, it means that you don't belong to any political party. You are standing quite often alone. So you don't represent any political party, you just represent yourself. You are standing as an independent candidate. In fact, I just gave you the answer there. So it is, in fact, an. You are standing as an independent candidate. An independent candidate. So the answer is an. An independent candidate. The word candidate, by the way, means a person who is standing for election. A candidate. Someone who is standing for election. They want your vote. They will be representing your area if you vote for them. Bicycle. Ooh, here's an interesting one. So a word beginning with B, is it a or an? A bicycle and bicycle. Which one is it? A bicycle or an bicycle? Thank you very much to Eric and Anna for your answers there. Do you represent yourself or your voters? Thank you, Valentin. Yes, quite often, a person who stands as an independent candidate, it means they are representing themselves. However, they will often stand for different issues. So maybe an independent candidate who doesn't belong to any other political party might be standing for particular issues. Bicycle. So is it an or a? The answer is a. A bicycle. I am sitting on a bicycle. A. So we say a, not an. We don't say an bicycle. We say a bicycle. I am riding a bicycle. I am riding a bike. Finally, we have one more, and then we are talking about being a good neighbour. Ooh, what about you? Are you a good neighbour? Do you have good neighbours nearby? Bing! So here's the last one in our a or an game. So is it a or an? Is it a victim or an victim? He was a victim. He was a victim. Which one do you think it is? The answer is Harold says, I want to ride my bicycle. Well, that's a different thing altogether. That is possessive, of course. We say a victim. He was a victim of crime. A victim of crime. So we say a victim. He was a victim. She was a victim. Victim. So we say a victim. He was a victim of crime, a victim of assault, a victim of the Second World War, a victim. So I hope you enjoyed that. A few examples there. There are many others. In fact, I could probably stand here for 2 hours giving you lots of examples, but now you get the idea. So quite often, if we have a vowel, quite often it will be an, such as an apple. And if it isn't, quite often it will be a bicycle, a boy, a love letter. Ooh, I just thought of that. J.M. Rich says, yesterday Mr. Duncan was a victim of a child. Yes. I don't know why. There was a child yesterday that wouldn't leave me alone. Even though the parents were watching. The parents were standing right next to me and they were laughing. They thought it was hilarious that their child was coming up to me and bothering me whilst I was trying to do my lovely live stream. Yes. This dynamic is great, Mr. Duncan. Thank you, Eric. It's very kind of you to say. I always like to do something a little different during my live streams. I will be going in around about 10 or 15 minutes. So I will be going, but don't worry, I am back again on Wednesday and also Friday. I've also noticed that in December, Christmas Day is on Wednesday. So Christmas Day this year is actually on Wednesday. Don't forget also, next Friday, it is the 13th. Friday the 13th. Next Friday. Oh dear. Are you superstitious? We'll have to wait and see. So here we go. The word is neighbour. We are talking about being a good neighbour. Do you have good neighbours or do you have bad neighbours? The spelling of this word depends where you are. In British English, we say neighbour and we spell it like this. In American English, they also say neighbour, but they spell it differently. British English, American English. So the meaning of neighbour, it's very simple, and I will show you on the screen so you can get a good look. To be nearby or next to, close proximity or alongside. So if you are nearby or next to something or a person or a thing, you can be described as the neighbour. You are nearby. Quite often when we are talking about things that are related or very close to each other. So to be in close proximity or alongside. So quite often if you live in a house, quite often there will be another family or other residents living in close proximity, nearby or next to. And we describe those as your neighbours. They are your neighbours. The word neighbour, by the way, did you know that the word neighbour originated in Old English and means nearby peasant? So ne is an old use of near, and boor, originally spelt B-O-O-R, means peasant. Hence the word neighbour. So a nearby peasant, someone close to you who is a commoner, can be a neighbour, and that's where the word comes from. Did you know that? Well, you do now. Quite often we will describe our neighbours as the people next door. So when we talk about those who live very close to us but not with us, So they are nearby, but they don't live with you. They are the people next door, your neighbours, the people who live next door. They live next to you or alongside you. A person who is a good neighbour, a person who is a friendly neighbour, a person who is a pleasant person, and they are always kind, considerate, and they love their neighbours very much. They love saying hello to them. They love to say hello in the morning. They are very neighbourly. So if a person is neighbourly, it means they are kind, considerate, generous. They are concerned with the well-being of the people who live nearby. They are very neighbourly. We often think of people in the United States as being very neighbourly. So we often see, especially in movies, you will often see neighbours waving to each other. Morning, neighbour. Good morning, neighbour. I'm not sure about here in the UK. I think here in the UK we are not so neighbourly. A lot of neighbours like to keep to themselves. They don't like to talk to other people, and sometimes maybe they will pretend not to see their neighbour. So maybe they are outside in the garden, and perhaps you go outside as well. The neighbour next door will pretend not to see you. They will pretend that they didn't see you because really they don't want to talk to you. So neighbourly means to be kind and considerate to those who live nearby. However, you can also be unneighbourly. So maybe you ignore your neighbours. Hello also to Mohammed. Nice to see you here. Hello also to Eric. I have very good neighbours who show solidarity in bad times. I think it's very good. I think you are very lucky. If you have good neighbours, I think you are lucky and you should keep them happy. That's all I can say. Keep your good neighbours happy. I am living in this flat for 2 years and I never see my neighbours next door. I never see them at all, says Flower Espoir. I don't think that's unusual. I will be honest with you. So next door to me, there are some new neighbours next door now, and they are really nice. So my new next door neighbours, they moved next door about 2 years ago, and they are lovely. They're very friendly, very active, and quite often we will have a chat in the garden together. So I'm very lucky that we have good neighbours next door. However, the neighbour that lived there before wasn't very neighbourly. He didn't want to speak to us at all. He would pretend not to see us. In fact, one day I caught him going through the back of his garden. He was squeezing between 2 trees because he didn't want to speak to me. So we used to have a neighbour next door who really did not like talking to me. I don't know why. I can't believe it. Saturino says, I live in a building and in this building there are 197 families as well. I hate the owner of the dogs because their dogs will crap everywhere. And also they will go for a wee-wee everywhere. It is revolting. Thank you, Saturino. I did mention this yesterday during my live stream in Much Wenlock. There is a game that I play when I walk into town, and the game is try not to step into the dog poo. A lot of people around here have dogs, and they allow their dogs to do their anywhere. They poo all over the place. So there is nothing more annoying than stepping into dog poo. So I agree with you. It is one of my dislikes as well. And I'm sure there are many arguments between neighbours over maybe the dog barking or the dog pooping. So I can imagine that there must be lots of people who get very annoyed at their neighbours if they own a dog. I think so. Hello, Dev Gudara. Hello, I'm new here. Welcome, Dev, to my live chat for a Sunday, and I'm live in England. Don't worry. That applause wasn't for me. It was for you, Dev. So welcome. Nice to see you here today. Great to see you. Mohammedi says, I have a lot of neighbours and I never speak to them. So I see my neighbours but without speaking. So quite often we avoid speaking to our neighbours. I always find that very strange. Now, when we first moved here to Much Wenlock, I decided that I was going to be friendly to everyone. So I really did try very hard to be friendly to everyone who lives here in my little village. Sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. So there are some people who live in the village who ignore me when they see me. But that's fine. I don't care. I'm not all that worried. Sally says, I live in the building with my neighbours and we are all busy with our lives. But in general, they are nice. Good for you. I'm glad to hear that, Sally. So you have nice neighbours. So your neighbours are very neighbourly. So to be neighbourly means to be nice to the people who live nearby. However, not all neighbours are good neighbours. You can have bad neighbours as well. Maybe you have a nosy neighbour. Nosy. They are always prying into your private life. Maybe they watch you when you go out in the morning. Maybe they are always watching you behind the curtain. They are watching what you are doing. Where is Mr. Duncan going? Oh, Mr. Duncan is going again. He's going out. I wonder where Duncan is going. Oh, there's Mr. Steve. Oh, what's Mr. Steve doing? Oh, he's going out as well. Oh, they're not going out together. Oh, maybe there's a problem. Oh, I better tell my other friends. So there is nothing worse than a nosy neighbour. A nosy neighbour is someone who will often try to find out your private business, what is going on in your life. So yes, I know in the past I have had nosy neighbours. Mr. Steve's mum is always complaining about one of her neighbours because apparently one of her neighbours is very nosy. Here is an interesting action. Do you know this one? So here is an interesting phrase. Pop in. If you pop in, it means you will suddenly appear. You will pop in, or we can also say pop round. So if you pop in, it means you go to one of your neighbours' houses and you knock on the door, even though you haven't been invited. So you just pop in, or pop around, or pop round. So if you pop in to your neighbour or pop round to your neighbour, it means you go there without being invited or without being asked. So you just pop in or pop round. You call on your neighbour, but quite often without being invited. You pop in. So are you friendly with your neighbours? Here is the most worrying type of neighbour. I don't know about you, but 2 years ago, when we had new neighbours, well, In fact, to go to the beginning of the story, when we first realised that our neighbour was moving, we felt very worried, because you don't know what your new neighbours are going to be like. Maybe your new neighbours will be nice people. Maybe they will be noisy. Maybe they will be horrible. Maybe they will make your life very miserable. So having new neighbours can be a very stressful thing, even before they arrive, because you worry just in case they are not good neighbours. So if you have new neighbours, it can be a very stressful time. I think so. Julie G says a person who is always looking through their curtains is called a curtain stretcher. A curtain stretcher is a person who is always looking from behind the curtains. They are watching very closely. Here we call them a curtain twitcher. So a curtain twitcher is a person who is always looking from behind their curtain. They are very interested in what is happening with the neighbours. They are very nosy. Almost all people in the USA are afraid of their neighbours, says Emin. I've never heard of that. I always get the impression, and one of my neighbours is actually American. So one of my next door neighbours here where I live is actually American. She comes from the USA and she came here many years ago to get married. So yes, one of my neighbours who lives very nearby is from the United States. And she always says that the neighbours in the United States are very friendly. They will often pop round. They will often inquire to make sure that their neighbours are okay and happy, which I think is quite nice. Mr. Duncan, I would like to hear one lesson with the pronunciation of young people in London, because I found it very difficult to follow what they said to me. Thank you, Liliana Beatriz. Hello to you. Thanks for joining me. Well, when we talk about London, when we talk about different parts of the UK, we are actually talking about accents. So yes, you might find that in London, some people speak very quickly or maybe with a very strong accent. You might even find that certain British people might have difficulty understanding other British people, even though they both speak the same language. However, their accents will be different. Yes, if you pop round or pop around, it means you go to your neighbours. You will drop in. That's another one you can use, drop in. So if you drop in, it means you suddenly appear. You haven't been invited, you haven't been asked, you just go round to your neighbour without them realising that you are coming round. You drop in, you pop round, you suddenly appear. Tran Nguyen is here. Hello to you as well. Yes, you are right. People in the US are quite friendly, maybe more friendly than people in the UK. Yes, I would say so. I would agree with that. This is something I mentioned yesterday. Quite often in the UK, we are very suspicious of other people. We are quite wary of what other people are doing. And that happened to me when I first moved here into this area, because I'm a person who likes filming the nature and also making my lessons outside. So when I first moved here, many neighbours were very suspicious of me because they didn't know what I was doing. So yes, it did cause a lot of problems, I must be honest. Dev says, I always give candy to my neighbours to make them stop being noisy. I like that. That's a good one. I like that idea. Always stay friendly with your neighbours because you never know when you will need them. That's what I believe anyway. Hello, Anna. Hello, Pachu. I will often see my neighbours outside in the garden. And at Christmas, we always meet up. And sometimes we have a meal together. So we have had quite a few meals with our neighbours. We will join them for a meal. Sometimes we will have a curry or maybe something at Christmas time. We will go round to their house. So quite often, some of the neighbours around here will join each other, especially at this time of the year. So around Christmas time, people will normally join together. They will join together in groups because it's the period, it's the season of goodwill, apparently. I'm going in a moment as we come up to 3:15 on a Sunday afternoon. Thank you, Palmyra. Thank you also to Belarusia. Belarusia is going. See you later. And I will be back with you on Wednesday, 2 p.m. UK time, and also on Friday. Friday the 13th is coming. What about you? Are you superstitious? Do you think that Friday the 13th is an unlucky day? Chris Merols says some people say that foreigners love to live in the Philippines because Filipinos make friendly and kind neighbours. I think you are right, yes, especially in Asia. I noticed this also in China. So in China, it's the same thing because I lived in China and I did notice that many neighbours are very kind and considerate, and there are many rules that exist in China. For example, if you go round to one of your neighbours' houses, you must always take a gift. Quite often some fruit, maybe something very small, an item of food. So quite often when one neighbour visits another neighbour, they will often take an offering. Quite often fruit. So that's something I did learn when I was living in China. Thank you to Lewis. Thank you, Sweetness. Thank you, Marta. Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Thank you also, Mohammed. Thanks, Pachu. Nabil. Nice to see you here as well today. Thanks for joining me. Thank you very much to everyone, in fact. It's been a very busy one. So many things to talk about today at the end of a very busy week. I wonder what next week will be like. Well, I have a feeling that next week is going to be very busy because here in the UK we have a general election. So I will see you on Wednesday, 2 p.m. UK time. And also for those who want to get in touch, here is my email address, my Facebook, and also my address for any donations that you feel like sending. So now there is no excuse. Before I go, here is another word that I didn't mention, but I'm going to mention. It's a very big one. Look at the size of that word. It's a very big word. Neighbourhood. So the neighbourhood is the area in which you live. So if you live in an area and you are surrounded by people living in their houses, we will often describe it as a neighbourhood. So the neighbourhood, or you might also hear it described as district. So the district or the area is the neighbourhood, the surrounding area in which you live, the people that live around you. So this is a very general term used to describe the area in which you live. And that is definitely it. Bye-bye, Flower. Bye, Vocabulary List. Bye, Sweetness. Bye, Liliana. Thank you very much. Apparently, Liliana has been staying in London. Very nice. I hope you had a good time there. Thank you very much, Anna Alangia. I am definitely going now. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. I know it sounds very desperate, but like, and if you like what you watch, if you like what you hear, subscribe. That would be ever so nice. See you on Wednesday, 2 p.m. UK time. This is Mr. Duncan in the birthplace of English saying thanks for watching. See you on Wednesday, 2 p.m. UK time. And of course, until the next time we meet here on YouTube. Ta-ta for now.